Hello, I'm Daniel Metra, and welcome to the review. And this is a review on the 009 slate wagons that have just been released in the Thomas the Tank Engine Bachmann range. And please enjoy. So here you can see I've got 3 slate wagons, each one slightly different from one another. And you probably can't see as well as I can. This particular one doesn't, but the other two have numbers written on the side of them. But when I get them out of the box, I'll show you properly later. The box is really good. Exactly the same as what the Bachmann Scar Louis actually came in. As you can see, it's at ages 14 plus on the box. This is now a gauge. And if you turn over, shows you all the other ones you can buy. As you can see there, it mentions Rheneas. Rheneas hasn't actually been released yet. However, him and Rosie have both appeared on a video on YouTube recently, so we've seen both their Bachmann models. Rheneas looks more like what he looked like in the CGI series of the show, rather than what he looked like in the model series, which is quite a good thing. He's a lot more detailed in the CGI series, the same as Scar Louis. And again, going back to Rheneas, his model's in the orange livery, not the pink livery that he's sometimes shown in. And a lot more of the characters in the Bachmann range, like Diesel and Farmer McColl, look more like what they did in the CGI series rather than in the model era of the show. Like I said, I have actually been to the Talcum Railway before, which is where Scar Louis and them engines are based on, and the rolling stock, particularly these slate wagons, looks a lot more like what it did in reality. Obviously it had to be quite small because it was going in mines, which is obviously very low roofs, etc. And the slate trucks, these sort of remind me of what they look like in the railway series. The slate trucks are also in the model series of the show, but they were a bit bigger. However, since the CGI series, the rolling stock has improved on the narrow gauge railway. There's now lots of different wagons that you can see. It's not just the wagons though, it's also the coaches as well. They've improved too. But again, the coaches look more like they do on the Talcum Railway rather than they did in the TV series of Thomas the Tank Engine. So here you can see I've got the 3 slate wagons in front of me. Each one is slightly different to each other. You can mainly tell this because if you read the side of the boxes, each one's got a different label, different code number, etc. But you can also tell by if you actually get them up closely and zoom on each one. So I see that one says 164 on the side there. And what I like is the loads that are actually removable. You can take them in and out. So that was one of them. This is the next one. This one doesn't actually have a number on it. It's the only one out of these 3 not to have a number on it. Yeah, and then there's this one. And this one has 101 written on the side. So like I say, I really like these wagons. As you can see here though, they are very, very tiny. I mean, when I did my review on the Bachmann Scar Louis, a lot of people complained that he was very tiny and ridiculously small. However, I didn't think that that was the case, because it is technically, it's sort of HO, and then obviously I put him next to my Bachmann Toby, and if you compare the size of Toby to him sort of thing, it's the same size as it should be, obviously, because it's a narrow gauge engine next to a standard gauge engine. I mean, I think these wagons are very, very small, but I'm not sure if it's ridiculously small or not. I think it's fair to say, because at the end of the day, you have to remember that these, let's say, were going inside mines with very low roofs, so they were very tiny. So I think there is a sense of realism there. And with narrow gauge, in real life, the wagons are all sorts of different sizes, so it's quite hard to say really. But I think if you look at the actual models themselves, they are really well detailed. One thing I did expect though, I thought that the slate inside was metal at first, but it's actually plastic. And you can probably just about see on my finger just there, I've got a bit of black on there. That's actually from this. So it's like the realistic sort of slate feel. So you can take the slate in and out and say it is actually plastic, it's not metal, and there's two separate ones there, you can probably just about see. The wheels are metal though, which is a good thing. And they've even written underneath it there, which is 70 some dedication. It is obviously very, very, very tiny indeed. If I had to give these wagons a score, I mean, I know I've given most of my Bachmann ones these ones, but I think it's mainly because Bachmann, the models they produce are so good. I'd actually give this 10 out of 10, actually, these slate wagons, because I do think they are very good. Detail-wise, and like I said, there is a sense of realism with the size as well. And what I liked about these wagons as well is, compared to my other ones, I had problems with my other ones where the couplings just kept on coming uncoupled. However, these ones actually stayed on the rails really, really well indeed when I was testing them out, and they do run really nicely indeed. Like I say, obviously I've got the other wagons that have come out in Bachmann, and there was a problem sometimes with them staying on the rails and the couplings coming undone, but these I didn't have that problem with at all. They ran really nicely indeed. Saying they didn't come uncoupled. Once they're coupled up, they stay coupled up, they didn't come off the rails. So yeah, I'd certainly recommend if you've got the money, you can get these. I got these from Tootley Thomas, which stocks all things Thomas, and I've got quite a few other things over the years from them. Another thing as well I'd like to add is the slate wagons in the TV series in the model era had faces on them. However, for a long time they didn't have faces on them, going into the CGI series. However, recently the trailer for the next special, Journey Beyond Sodor, has been on YouTube, which obviously features some new characters, as there is with every new series, every new special. The slate trucks also seem to have faces on them again. It's not just the slate truck, it's the actual tar wagons and the vans. They've got faces on them as well, like they did in the model series of the show. However, this isn't the first time, as in the episode Bradford the Brake Van. You can see faces on the vans that Samson and Whiff were pulling. Another thing as well is, that was odd in the Journey Beyond Sodor trailer, is that the slate wagon seemed to be running on standard gauge track when they're actually narrow gauge. This isn't the first time this has happened, as you can probably see from this bit of trivia here. Gator is actually a narrow gauge engine, but Gator was actually rescaled and runs on standard gauge track, as you can see here. Also, the slate trucks appeared in the episode Scruff's Makeover on standard gauge track as well, which is strange, as both Whiff and Scruff are standard gauge engines as well. So again, it's not the first time it's happened. Also, the slate trucks were available in the Trackmaster range, and again they came with standard gauge engines, which is very strange, as they're not standard gauge, they are narrow gauge. It was also, to my knowledge as well, that all standard gauge rolling stock and engines were supposed to have buffers on it. But again, going back to the trailer, slate trucks don't appear to have actual sort of buffers on them, apart from like little wooden stumps, which I suppose are like buffers in a way. But yeah, I did think that was very strange indeed. But nevertheless, it looks like it should be quite a good special. As I said, I did have a little run of these at wagons on my Bachmann Scar Louis layout, which I'm sure you've seen in other videos of mine. I took it to a show last year, but yeah, like I said, these wagons run really well indeed, as you can see here. Thank you very much for watching. Goodbye.